This is Theme Deck Tuesday, where I review a theme deck, have some battles and some fun with it. This week we're going back to Zacian, as I actually just totally forgot about it. Did Zamazenta a while ago, but didn't do Zacian, so we're looking at that. And if you are new here, be sure to subscribe, as I do post videos multiple times a week. Not just theme deck stuff, but also competitive and some fun stuff. So let's get into the review and those matches. First of all, taking a quick look at the contents of the Zacian deck, we're going to start it off with the Zacian itself. It does have 120 HP, which is a little bit unfortunate. Well, I say low, it's really unfortunate overall for a basic in the theme deck format. If you want a big basic attacker, you really want it to have 130 hit points so that it can survive a lot of attacks. As you can see, the second attack on Zacian itself deals 120 smashing edge, so it's really a shame because in matchups where you have Pokemon like this dealing 120 damage, you can one-shot opposing Pokemon with 120 HP or less. So the HP is really unfortunate, it leaves a lot to be desired, but it has good stats overall since it is dealing 120 damage itself, and the first attack energy stream is good as well, getting energy back onto itself. So that's fairly reasonable. Dealing the 30 is good, and we have 2 copies of those. The main secondary attacker that you're going to be using is the Unpheasant, which is a stage 2 Pokemon with Daunt. For 2 energy, deals 50 damage and also reduces damage by 50. So reducing damage by any amount in the theme deck format is really great, but if it's higher than 30, I would say, it's really going to be worth your time investing energy into attaching onto this and attacking with it. And also the second attack, just dealing a straight up 150, is very good for knocking out all of those stage 2 Pokemon, or the vast majority of them at the very least, especially if you use Daunt first. And we have a great mechanic in Pidove here, as it does have Chirp, which allows you to search out 2 Pokemon with a fighting resistance, which essentially searches out this entire Unpheasant evolution line, as they all have a resistance to fighting, and this is a great way of covering your weakness, since your metal Pokemon are weak to fire Pokemon, but your flying Pokemon here are weak to lightning. So different weaknesses is always good in a theme deck, so you're not just weak to one deck, and you do have some good damage on these dudes. Now the other tertiary or secondary attacker depends how you are with your coin flips, how confident you are. You do have the Berserker here with Claw Dagger. You get to flip 3 coins and you do 80 damage for each heads, potentially knocking out the stage 2 Pokemons in one hit if you get 2 heads, but the likelihood of that happening is somewhat low, so I'd rather stay away from this, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And comboing with that, we do have some other coin flip stuff in the form of 2 Pokemon Catcher, as you're able to flip a coin and then pull up one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is great for taking out a threat before they're able to actually attack with it if they're building up a Pokemon on the bench. This is a high roll kind of card that you're going to be aggressive with, but having 2 copies in the deck is great, as pretty much no other theme deck has Pokemon Catcher or any way of gusting up like Boss's Orders, Guzma, that kind of thing. There's only a couple of theme decks that actually have that card, so you can be aggressive in that sense, but the downside of this deck is, as you can see, there's pretty much no energy acceleration other than the Zacian, its first attack there, attaching to itself. There's nothing else to accelerate energy apart from 2 copies of Metal Saucer. Yes, this is energy acceleration, you get to attach from the discard, but you only have 2 counts of them, so it's not going to be worth your time to really rely on this, and you are going to be relying on attaching energy from your hand manually each turn that you go by. So overall, not great matchups for this. It's kind of a 50-50 in terms of what you're up against. The fire decks, which are going to be weak, you're going to be weak to, and they also accelerate energy. Any other deck that accelerates energy, you're going to have a really hard time against. But other decks that are quite slow, build up energy over a couple of turns like we do here, you might have a bit of a better time against those decks. So let's see what we get into in the matches. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, and hopefully we get some good wins, as we do have some good matches coming up here. We are starting off our first game with Zacian theme deck against the Unseen Depth, which is definitely one of the top tier decks, as if you're not familiar, it is able to do a lot of sniping damage and just a lot of damage to the face in general. So this should be an interesting matchup for us for sure, because if we can win this one, then we'll be in it with a chance of being a top tier deck of our own as well. And interestingly, my opponent does attach to the Piplup here, which does have a high attack cost, so it's very interesting that they chose to do that. But we're just going to be going in and doing some quick damage with the Hawlucha here, since it can do 30 damage for just that one energy attack. And we do draw 3 energy off of the hop, which isn't ideal. I think I'll put down the second Pokemon here just so that we have another opportunity to evolve if we need to. And we'll go ahead and attack, like I said, just doing 30 damage, as that's all we're going to need to start chipping away at this Piplup. And there we go, they do have the Prinplup indeed, so getting the early damage in is going to be really beneficial here, so that we can get this Empoleon out of the game as quickly as we can. And of course we can start attaching energy onto our benched Galarian Berserker here, which is going to be a primary attacker until we find some more Pokemon out of the deck. My opponent is lacking some Pokemon on their side as well. They're going to be switching so that they can protect that Prinplup and guarantee themselves that they get into the Empoleon as quickly as they can. Let's go for another hop, make the most out of our supporter cards. We do get a couple more Pokemon to work with, but nothing really too crazy, just the Hawlucha. I think we might put it down anyway, just in case if we want to have another Pokemon to start doing some damage with. And like I said, we'll be attaching onto our Berserker, and once again attacking, dealing damage rather than drawing cards, because we have plenty of supporters and our hand is far from being dead. So I'm quite happy to just deal damage to my opponent, and they do indeed have the Empoleon in their hand. So as soon as we knock out this Psyduck, they will come in with the Empoleon and start dealing damage to us. Definitely going to be concerning, but I'm sure we'll be able to handle it. My opponent going for the Cynthia, they do get into the Golduck, which is excellent for them. It's going to mean that they can survive a couple of extra hits from our Hawlucha, and they do also get the Colourless Energy there, which allows them to draw a card, as well as get an attack off for 30, which is not ideal. Let's go for our Professor's Research, I think. We're not going to bother with the Dan, we've drawn plenty of cards through Hop, so I don't mind getting rid of this hand. We are losing a couple of good Pokemon, but we have a bunch of good ones in the deck still, so I'm fine with this. We do get into a Zacian that we can put down, and we do also get the Pokemon Catcher. So we could risk it and go in with the Berserker, although we would have to flip a couple of heads if we do that. And it is honestly quite tempting to just go aggro and go in with that. So let's go for it. Let's see if we get the heads first on the Pokemon Catcher. We do, so we bring up the Empoleon. Let's retreat and see what happens with our Berserker. We are only losing 1 energy on the Hawlucha after all. So let's see, we get 1 head, and we get the 2 heads that we need. There is the knockout on the Empoleon, taking out their main attacker and the main Pokemon that they're focusing on getting set up there, which is a big swing in our favour. My opponent gives us the well played, which is exactly what you expect, because they're going to be on the back foot now, and they're going to be struggling to get a couple of extra Pokemon set up to actually get attacks off. They have the Pokemon Fan Club, so they can actually search out some Piplup if they have those in the deck. We do see one of them, as well as the Kyogre. And I'm guessing they're going to be looking for the Empoleon again. They might have it prized, which is definitely going to be in our favour if that is the case. But at least getting the Kyogre set up will be good, as it is a fairly strong attacker overall. And we're just going to be hoping that we hit a lot of heads here to get through these Pokemon. I think we do only need 1 for the Golduck. Yep, that's right, since we did deal that 30 damage, which is going to be nice and relevant for us. And we can also start building up some energies on the back here on our Zacian. Unfortunately, not looking too hot now on the supporter front, so let's just go for the attack. Like I said, we need 1 heads here, and I guess we're not going to get it, so we can't actually knock out the Golduck. But that's alright, because we got the key knockout there on Empoleon, which is what we were looking for, especially the heads on the Pokemon Catcher. That was great. something that you don't see all that often in theme deck is any kind of gust on our end or switching, bring up bonus Pokemon, all that good stuff that Catcher does. We don't see that happen too much in theme decks, and certainly getting heads on it when we do have it in the deck is a great bonus. My opponent just going to be continuing to build up Pokemon in the back and hit us for 30, which certainly seems reasonable, and we have plenty of turns here to build up Pokemon on our own side, like our Zacian, and there we go, we do get one heads this time, which is all we need to knock out this Golduck, and we can take our second prize card of the game. Hopefully it's a good one, and it is the best one that we could get, the Professor's Research. Sure, we are again discarding a bunch of Pokemon, but it is the evolution line, so I don't really mind that since we do have a couple of good Pokemon still in the deck that we can make use of. Mainly the Probopass, potentially second Zacian. We still have good options, so I don't mind getting rid of our evolving birds, if we can call them that. Now my opponent is getting their board set up, they're attaching more energies onto that Kyogre in the back here, or not the Kyogre, I should say the Prinplup, but the Kyogre in the front is going to be attaching energy. I would have to imagine with the high water attack there, getting to attach energies from the discard pile onto their Pokemon, so that's, you know, I got there in the end, that's what I meant to say, but they do have the built up Empoleon here, which is ready to go, and as you can see here, they are using the high water to attach even more energy onto the Empoleon, so that's going to be good for them, although they do have a 2-card hand, which isn't too good. So let's see what we can make happen. I think we'll be attaching onto Zacian again. It's our primary attacker at the moment, I have to say, so let's just keep attaching there, and we will be going for the Professor's Research. Almost tempted to switch and go into the Zacian. The only downside is the Kyogre does have 130 hit points, so we can't actually knock it out with Zacian, I don't believe. We do have, yeah, we have 120 damage that we're dealing. So we do have to get a knockout here with our active. We can make use of our Probopass though, if we can get that out of the deck, that would be excellent. And sure, I'll thin that out of the deck, why not? Let's go for the attack. Can we get a couple of heads here? We just need 2 for the knockout. There's 1 and there's a second, so we do get our third prize card, taking out a Kyogre and making it so that my opponent can't get any of those energy cards into play from the discard pile anymore. But like I said, they do have the Empoleon, which they most likely will be promoting here. You have to imagine that they want to be getting some damage into play, and they can easily start attacking our active, take that out, or they could start sniping our bench, but considering we are able to flip a bunch of coins and do some big damage, you gotta imagine that they're going to be knocking out our active first and foremost. They did have the Cynthia in their hand as well, so their hand wasn't completely dead, and they do have a good amount of search here. Putting down the Viridian Forest as well is going to allow us to search out energy on our side, which is very good for thinning the deck. And we can just get rid of any of those other Pokemon that we don't need, like the Pidove here. We're also going to be discarding a water from the looks of things to grab another water, and we'll have to see where they place that. Looking to build up the Ambipom there on the back once they get the Ambipom into their hand, or let's speak of it right there, they do have it in their hand, so they're going to be evolving right now. And they can start attacking with that once it gets the sufficient energy. The Mewtwo, as we've covered before, not got any great attacks on it, mostly just for setting up your Pokemon, so don't imagine they're going to be wanting to attach to that anytime soon. And let's see where my opponent goes in attacks. Are they going to be knocking out the active? They do have a couple of attacks to choose from, since they do have the attack on Empoleon, which makes it so that you can use the previous evolution's attacks, and it's just for the 1 attack cost as well. But it looks like they are going to be actually sniping our bench, doing 100 damage to take a nice easy prize card, but that leaves our Berserker in the active spot, which means we can potentially get a knockout right here on our opponent's Empoleon once again. I'm going to be thinning the deck of our Metal Energy, so we get the best possible draws, and I will also actually use the Pokekid, so we can see what Pokemon we have left in the deck. Unfortunately, we don't have any Probopass left, but we do have a second Zacian at the very least we can start attaching to. Bit of a shame that we don't have any Probopass left, as that would have been a reasonable attacker, but we can start attaching to Zacian all the same. And yeah, I think we will just go with the Berserker here, see if we get the heads that we need. They're the tails. Ah, that sucks. We needed the double heads there to get a knockout. Only getting one means that we're dealing 80 damage, which is not quite enough. Exactly half of the Empoleon's HP remaining, so we're going to have to finish them off with a second attack, most likely coming from a Zacian, and we can look to build up another Pokemon that we can attack with after this point. Let's see what my point goes for. They have the Tate and Lisa to switch, so they're going to be bringing up Ambipom, wanting to protect that Empoleon as much as possible here, which is definitely a good call, as it's going to be a strong attacker and finisher if they need to snipe something on the bench, but they are going to be using the Ambipom. They get to discard 2 cards from their hand, or up to 2 cards anyway, and they do 60 damage for each, and they only need to do 60 damage of course to get the knockout here. But they do have to, of course, reduce their hand size as well, which is something to consider. It does put us in a tricky situation though, since we do have to get a Pokemon that we can attack with. They are going to be weak to fighting, but doing a total of 20 damage with our weakness there is not going to make a huge difference. So I suppose we'll promote a Zacian. It does guarantee us a knockout, and we can start building up our bench Zacian anyways. Let's go for a Dan. Probably should have used Viridian Forest first there. That's a bit of a misplay, but it's all good. We can still play rock, paper, scissors, and we come out on top in that situation anyways. Let's discard, I think we'll discard the Sonia. We don't really need it at this point, and we do have the Hop to draw cards anyways. So we'll go with that. We'll also play the Great Ball now, just to thin out the deck. Always good situation to be in, making sure that you have optimal draws. And we'll go for the knockout with a Zacian. 120 damage is more than what we need, but unfortunately we are losing 2 energies on the coin flip there, not serving us too well, and we're going to be forced into an attack for 30 unless we're able to find our switch again. I think we still have one in deck. There's one in the discard pile. Can't remember right now how many we have, but we do have the Viridian Forest, so I can at least search the deck and see if one is still in there. They did promote the Mewtwo, so perhaps just going to be stalling here and give us a couple of turns to build up some energy. I don't believe we've seen any Metal Saucers yet, so we still have those to look forward to as well. We could get a big attack off thanks to Metal Saucer coming out of the deck at some point. We see a big Lily from my opponent drawing a whole bunch of cards. They do still have quite a few in deck though, especially compared to us. We are quite a bit ahead on that, so they could come down to a deck out. We'll have to see how quickly we can get some more attackers online. Will my opponent also have the switch? They do have the Fion, which is going to allow them to force one of our Pokemon to switch with our bench. That could be pretty irritating, but it could also be helpful depending on what they do here. But it is just going to be a pass from my opponent. We do pick up another Metal Energy. I don't think I'm going to bother using Hop at this point since our deck is getting so thin, but we will be using the Viridian Forest. We do have both of the saucers. We have a switch as well as the Pokemon catcher there, so maybe the Hop is a good call, but I don't think either of those things are particularly useful right now, so we'll hold off on it, and we can just comfortably attach to the active and hit my opponent for 30. Maybe chip away at this Pikimiku, potentially get the knockout if they leave it here, and that'll get us one step closer to winning this game, as we are still 2 prizes ahead of my opponent, so they're going to have to pull out all the stops in order to win this game and get knockouts back to back to back to back, whereas we only have to get 2 here, and we have a couple of good options available. Like I said, with those Metal Saucers we can get an attack off out of nowhere pretty much, although we do already have the Zacian, so perhaps we'll just be attaching additional energies onto the Zacian in case we have to do a discard. We'll have to see. All the same, my opponent is playing out their hand. They have 3 cards in their hand that they do have to work with. They're going to be attaching to the Mewtwo. Let's see if they use that to retreat and go into something else, like the Empoleon, the Apom. Nope, it's just going to be the Kyogre, so they're looking to power up energies from their discard. They're a bit short on energies, I'm guessing, so they're just using this as a stall to try and charge up their Pokemon as much as they can here. Definitely a good call. That's going to allow them to put 2 energies from the discard, ping it onto the Apom, or Amipom, and let's see what we have to work with. Again, not a huge amount. I think we're just going to be attacking for 30, since we can't get a knockout dealing the 120, so we could just do 30 and start attaching our energies onto our benched Pokemon instead. I think we'll put one onto the Zacian here, and yeah, we're just going to hit for 30, get energy onto ourselves, and then on the following turn we can hit for 120 and get the knockout that way. See what my opponent has for us here. Again, they draw, not playing any supporters. They have played a supporter near enough every turn as far as I'm aware, so they have to be down on supporters at this point. I also don't believe they used Viridian Forest, which means that they are completely out of energies, hence why they're using the Kyogre here. And they are really on the back foot, so we could potentially win this, and this could be a contender for the best deck in the Team Deck format. We'll have to see. There's the Kyogre using High Water again, this time powering up the Empoleon, and we also have to remember that the Vion is there as a potential threat to switch our Pokemons around. So let's go ahead and start attaching to our Hawlucha here. Could be useful, and I think we will hold off on the Saucer. We don't really need extra energy on Zacian, but I guess if we get Tails then it could be useful, so sure, we're not going to get any other Metal Pokemon down. We'll play out the Saucer now. And the only other thing that I'd be looking for here is Pokemon Catcher. Would be great to take out the Empoleon. So let's go for Hop. Let's be aggressive. And of course, we're not going to draw into it because we never do. So we're going to instead hit the active, take our second to last prize card. And there we go, we do have to discard those energies as predicted. Always seems to be Tails, never heads when I need it, but we have to discard those 2 energies, and still having 2 on there means that we only need to attach 1 onto the active, and we can once again hit for 120 damage. And it's going to be on my opponent to see what they can come up with. Are they going to be promoting the Ambipom to deal 120? No, it is the Empoleon, so they could be sniping us again. Could be dealing a good amount of damage here, 130 with that second attack Aqua Full, or could do a different attack here, and it looks like that is going to be the case. They are using Recall, which allows them to use one of the previous evolution's attacks, and they're just going to be hitting the active for 80, as well as stopping us from being able to attack since we are a basic Pokemon. And of course we can still retreat though, which is the nice thing. So we're going to be retreating into our other Zacian, and we have the Metal Saucer here. So if we wanted to, we could even go for that. But like I said, 1 prize card remaining. We damaged that Empoleon earlier for a good amount. So now we can just finish off with the Zacian, dealing 120 damage. And there we go, we managed to beat one of the best theme decks that are out there in Unseen Depth. We were just able to get lucky, I would say, and we got ahead when we needed it in the early game against that first Empoleon, which really put us ahead. But let's get into the next match and see what happens. Looks like we're up against another best theme deck. This time around it is the Relentless Flame, which does happen to be a fire and in particular Charizard deck, so we're going to have a real hard time against this since we are weak to fire for the most part. Although we do have our bird line, the whole Pidove line is going to be useful for actually getting some good attacks off here and hopefully winning out this game, but we'll have to see, as this is going to be a very close one, and it's really going to be reliant on us actually getting those evolutions set up here. But my opponent is going to be doing the exact same thing, as they do have the Charizard and Nidoqueen evolutions that they have to get into play. But we're starting off strong with a Sonia, and we can get out a couple of evolutions on our own. I think we'll actually just get the 1 and also grab the Berserker, and let's just make sure that we have those evolutions available. We do have one, so that's good enough for me. We'll grab it, and we can start attaching energy to these, and also searching out our Pokemon, since the Pidove is great for that. It allows us to search our deck for Pokemon that have a fighting resistance, so naturally we can actually just search out the evolutions right here, and then on the following turn we can even do the same again if we want to, or we could just draw, or we could Sonia for the basics and do it that way. We have a lot of options to search out this evolution line, which is certainly an advantage over my opponent, which is relying on the Nidoqueen. They have to get the Nidoqueen out first in order to use that ability to then search out Pokemon, which is just a whole extra step really. So let's see what we can make happen here. We do have the first evolution going down, which I'm going to start with. I think we'll also use a Sonia here, and I'm going to start actually attaching onto the bench. I'll get a second Pidove, and let's see what our other basic is. I think we'll get a Zacian. That was going to be a good shout overall. My opponent doesn't have particularly high retreat costs in order to warrant getting the Probo Pass, so we'll go for this kind of a setup instead, attaching onto the bench like I said, and again just going for an attack to search out Pokemon from the deck. Again, getting our stage 2s this time, since we already have the stage 1 in the hand. It makes sense to get the stage 2s, right? I mean, I guess we could get another stage 1, put it on the active. Sure, why not? It's not going to make a huge difference. We'll go with that and see if my opponent is going to be taking it slow once again and just drawing a couple of cards. Now they do have the Rapidash, which is going to be causing a headache for us, I have to say. If they can get a lot of heads on agility, that's going to make it very difficult for us to do a whole lot of anything, but we can at least counter it with our stage 2 here. I keep forgetting what it's called. It's not Tranquil, the other one, Unpheasant. Unpheasant has Daunt at least, so it's going to mostly counter agility, since we're reducing damage by 50. Agility deals 60 damage, so making it so they only deal 10 damage at a time is going to nicely counteract the Rapidash. But like I said, they do have the Nidoqueen here. That's going to get their Pokemon set up, and they already have made use of that to get a second Rapidash, as well as attaching energy onto the Nidoqueen is going to mean that they're going to be wanting to attack with it fairly soon here. So we really need to find some energy and get going on the energy front for sure. Let's get these evolutions down though. Definitely want those in play, and we can also start attacking. I'd, really like some energy. We do have a 2 attack cost here. Definitely had to check that. But let's go for a Great Ball. See what we get. Nothing too great, but hopefully Hop provides the energy that we need here. And we do get 1, which is better than none, I suppose. And I kind of want to play this down. We're not going to need another Berserker right now. So I'll just attach to the active and start chipping away at my opponent. Let's see what they have for us this time. We can at least get a knockout on the following turn. And of course we do have the energy that we put on the bench earlier, so the Unpheasant is on its way to being ready. We just need to find the energies. My opponent does get the Charizard down. That's going to be a real sweeper for them, since it can deal so much damage with the weakness. But really, even just an agility from Rapidash is going to be good at getting knockouts on our metal Pokemon. And they are going to be continuing to attach to the Nidoqueen though. Getting a Timer Ball with a double heads. It's going to allow them to search out 2 evolutions. Just opting to search for 1 though, so I'm guessing they've already got all of the evolutions that they need, or there's none in the deck. Something like that anyway, but you always want to take all of the evolutions if you get 2 heads like that. I'm not really sure why they didn't. We do top deck a Pokemon Catcher, which is an interesting card for sure that we could top deck. Let's go for the Pokekid first, and we definitely want to get a second Unpheasant out of the deck. I could put this on the active and start reducing damage. I'm not sure how relevant that's going to be though, that's the only issue. So I kind of want to just save this and put it onto the bench instead, and start attacking into my opponent to take our first prize card. I think we will just hold on to the Pokemon Catcher for a more apt situation. So we'll just take a first prize, hoping that it's a supporter card. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It's just a Berserker that we can use, but again, we just are really lacking in the energy front here. So when you have a deck like this, which is not only drawing cards very well and attaching energy every turn as a result, but other decks similar to the Charizard as well, actually, which accelerates energy itself, but any decks in the format that accelerate energy, you're really going to struggle against, because this Zacian deck only attaches one energy at a time each turn. Yes, you do have the 2 metal saucers, but that is a 2-time thing that you can't continuously use turn after turn, unfortunately. So we're going to be really struggling to combat this Needle Queen. It's doing a huge amount of damage. All we can really do here is try and reduce the damage, I guess, and hope that we get an energy, or also stall with our Pokemon Catcher if we happen to get ahead. Let's see what we top deck. We do get the Professor's Research, which is a very good top deck. It's going to allow us to draw some cards here. We do also have the Metal Saucer to get that energy back into play, and I will go ahead and put it onto the Berserker. Can do a lot of damage, so it makes sense to put it there. And we'll go for the Pokemon Catcher. Unfortunately, immediately going to get a Tails. Just seemed like a very abrupt Tails that we got there. But we do hit the energy, so we can at least reduce damage by a little bit. We have 150 HP, which I don't think is going to save us, because I'm pretty sure they did 210 damage there. Could be wrong, but even if it's not, then it's going to be the maxed out 210 damage. But we still have to do it anyways in order to get damage on this Nidoqueen, so we can get a 2-hit on it, because all of our attacks are going to require a 2-hit. The secondary attack on Unpheasant only deals 150, the Nidoqueen does have 160 HP, so no matter which way we do it, we're going to have to 2-hit it. So let's do it this way, so that we are at least reducing damage as well, and we'll take it from there. Yep, like I said, they're dealing a huge amount of damage to get a 1-hit knockout on all of our Pokemon, as well as having the double Nidoqueen here, so they can even search out 2 Pokemon at a time from their deck. And I'm really not seeing a win condition at this stage. They're at 4 prize cards, they have absolutely everything that they need and play really out of their deck. They can search their deck for everything, so I don't really see a win condition here. Let's go for the Hop, I guess, before anything else. We don't get anything, and I'll just start attaching energy onto a Berserker, I guess. We'll pass it over to my opponent, and they can take another prize card on our Meowth, as we have absolutely nothing to do, and they continue to power up a second Nidoqueen, just to really hammer home the fact that they're going to be winning this game. Also opting not to search out another Charizard, so I'm guessing the pieces that they need for that are prized, but they should be able to find them fairly quickly, since they are taking prizes here very effectively. Let's promote a Zacian. Why not? We don't have anything else going on here, and we'll put down some Pokemon that we can make use of. Let's Pokemon Catcher. We get ahead. I'll bring up Rapidash. Sure, why not? And we can start attaching onto our Berserker once again. We have a Dan that we can make use of to draw some cards. Let's see what we get. Can we get 2 extra cards, please, opponent? Thank you. That is something nice. Got to take these small wins here and get an extra attachment as well before passing over to my opponent. Let's see if they have a switch. Most likely do just have the switch in hand. Otherwise they can retreat. And there's the Charmeleon, which I'm guessing they took off the prizes on that previous turn, and they're going to be able to get the Charizard into play on the next turn, which will then result in that Nidoqueen doing the maximum 210 damage that it is capable of doing, since it's based on evolution Pokemon in play, or on their bench as well. And there is the attachment, which is going to allow them to retreat, as well as that maxed out damage for a huge amount. Let's promote our Berserker, see if we can't flip some heads and get a knockout here, and continue to attach onto our bench Pokemon, as there's really little that we can do. This is a dire situation, but you gotta play those games out anyway, just in case you're able to take those extra prizes and actually get a little bit of a reward on the ladder all the same. So let's flip, and of course we're gonna get 3 tails. No, not 3 tails again. It's like every time I use a coin flip attack, it just instantly gets the maximum amount of tails that I can get in order to deal as little damage as possible. So Berserker really failing us this time. Not as good as the previous match. I mean, it was only really good once or twice in the previous match as well. So I certainly can't recommend the Berserker as a good attacker, and I'm questioning if I can recommend this deck. I think it's a good deck in some situations against some matchups, but overall you're just going to struggle too much to get any kind of a setup going, and you're going to get any kind of energy into play is just going to be really dire. So I would not recommend the Zacian deck. The Zamazenta deck was a lot more easy to play, let's put it that way, and this legendary has kind of been shafted over the Zamazenta theme deck. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Anyways, we had a close and very fun game, the first one against the Unseen Depth deck, and be sure to let me know if you've played the not Zamazenta, that's the other one, the Zacian deck. Let me know if you've played it and how you got on with it, if you had any better luck than me, and I'll see you in the next one.